Hello, Rampe. How you doing? Hope you're doing well. Buenas noches. Hello, hello. It's good. It's a good night. It's very cold here. Very, very cold. Hello, Keo. How are you? Hello, hello. Welcome in. You're in your bed, Rampe? I stayed in bed for a long time today because it was so comfy. So comfy. Okay. So, let's get this whole thing started, shall we? Let's go. Let's go. Um I think I have my mic like really loud. I don't know how to fix that. But suddenly it got really loud. Really, really loud. Maybe that helps a little bit. I don't know. Hi. Hello. Hello, Malasi. Hello, hello. How are you? How's it going? Okay. Here we go. Back at it again. We are going to be continuing on our journey with God of War. I do have a kitty in the cat cam. It's just she's not very centered. Let me just get that set for you. That is Vitani there. Here we go. Hit continue. I turned into a ghost for a second there, my bad. Okay, so where we left off before, I was pretty much just like, I think I was just exploring around a bit. Oh shit, I don't remember where I'm at. Oh yeah, don't go up there. Got it. Not ready yet. Not ready. Not ready for this. Also, don't go up there. Not ready for it. And I have my blades, so I can shoot those things. Oh, I'm not far. I'm not close enough. Still not close enough. What in the tarnation? There we go.
Go.
Hi. I want to keep exploring before I hang out here and do what I need to do. It looks like this is part of the main mission. Oh my goodness, kitty scratches already. Vitani, you lucky girl. You lucky girl. Got some kitty scratches. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So much love. So much love. She's like, Mom, I'm cleaning. Leave me alone. Look at you. So cute. Well, thank you so much for petting the kitty kitty. Alrighty, we're gonna continue. We're in the boat. I came from that one. So that means, what's over there? What is that? I feel like I miss stuff when I just leave. Oh well, we're going. We're going. Oh no, how do I shoot it? How do I shoot that thing? Does it just keep flying around like that? How do I get it? Okay, so it just keeps going around there. I can't fight in this boat. But I can explore in the boat. What is that?
Hey, it's another one of those geysers, but huge. Maybe we could check it out later.
We can see it fine from here.
We can see it fine from here. Don't even try it, kid. This is to the other side of that portal. Yeah, okay, so we're gonna keep going around. Cherry, hello! Hello, hello! What you up to?
Atreus.
Do you want to hang
You're
out?
getting better. Faster.
Do you want to hang out in the
It'd
stream?
even be better than
Would you
one
like
day,
to?
huh?
If you are not, I have failed.
Hello! Ooh, okay. This sparkly stuff in the water. Getting some work done. Ooh, good. Good, good. How is
Mimir,
work for
How
you?
many stories have you told about Odin and Thor? And all the bad things they've done? Let's see how many we can remember. Seems like Father could use his memory refreshed.
My memory of them requires no refreshment. They invaded our
Oh
home.
no.
Yeah, but I'm
I don't know
talking
if I
about
wanna do
history.
that.
All the other people they've met. Let's see.
Not now.
What is that?
Oh, glad to see that still works.
Oh good, okay. I was scared for a second. I was like, oh shit, a door. Going well, boring as usual, but going well. Mamisha, hi, how are you? I am good, how are you? How are you doing? Can I go up here? Oh, there's something up there. There's something up there. I need to figure out how to get over there. There's no way to get over there. I wonder if I can, like... No. I won't be able to. Great, game looks amazing. Oh, thanks. It's a really pretty game. Like, look at this. Oh, gosh. So beautiful. It's so beautiful. Alright, I'm gonna figure out how to get up there one way or another. I'm
So
kind
not
of
all
just
dwarves can do that thing
exploring.
Brock and Sindri do, right? Or they just walk between realms and turn up somewhere else?
Indeed, that's a rare skill. I gather one carefully cultivated by some secretive dwarven guild or other. Probably for the best. Them alone doing it is disconcerting enough.
What is this? It's a great game. 20 hours yesterday watching a full playthrough. Oh, really? So you know how it ends, huh? Don't tell me. Don't dare. Don't you dare tell me. Have not got the chance to play God of War yet. Oh gosh,
Back to
it's
Thor
so
and Odin
good. I
stories?
recommend.
Where were we?
I definitely recommend.
Okay.
What is that red
There
thing
was
over there?
Thalmor, the stonemason.
Aye. He
It's a
quarrelled
lot
with
of
his son.
fun.
Went into the night to find him. Found Thor instead.
And there was Thalmor's son, Hrimthur.
Who built the walls of Asgard. And whispered something of importance to Freya before his betrayal and assassination.
There was
Oh, look,
Groa,
okay, a
of
duck.
course.
There's a duck.
The knowledge keeper and prophet of Ragnarok. Thor murdered her husband, and Odin covered it up before doing her in himself. But enough of that for now.
I feel like if I just went straight to the main missions, this game would be over very quickly. But that's not what I want to do. I would like to explore.
Yeah, I don't think we can do anything with that yet.
Well, lame. So that must be how you get over there. Unless I can go under here? No? Guess not. So it's 24-ish of the main story without any side quests. Oh, okay. So 24 hours. I was gonna say it must be something like that.
Ymir, what do you think it means? Seen more raiders come back as Hellwalkers lately. I thought freeing the Valkyrie Queen was supposed to restore
Maybe I
balance
can
to the
just go
realms
here.
and keep that from happening.
That's a good question, lad. And a troubling one. If Hell's filled up again, it suggests that something's been hindering Sigrun's efforts. Or perhaps something even more urgent is keeping her distracted and unable to visit. Even occasionally.
Oh
Yeah.
dear.
Sorry, Mimir.
Oh, there's a chest right there. Is there a dock? Nope. I cannot dock here. There's a tunnel. What is that?
Okay, what other terrible things have Odin and Thor done?
Oh, a
I
chest!
can't forget Ymir, the first giant.
Odin carved him up to form the realms from his body, and let the torrent of his blood nearly drown every giant alive.
What about the giants of Jotunheim? They all seemed dead when we finally made it there.
No. It can't still be here.
What?
There's a key on this island. I need you to find it, brother. An innocent life is at stake.
Oh.
Red, left flank!
Where? Oh. There's little tiny lizards. Oh no, they just keep coming out. Okay, I see now. A little overkill, Kratos. Take it easy.
Mimir, you said an innocent life was at stake. Did Odin trap somebody here?
No, lad. I did.
No, lad, I did. Oh no. Where am I going? Up? Down. Man, he could just shimmy. He could just shimmy real good on that thing. I would fall. The upper body strength. Oh no.
More wretches on your left! The ground looks weak down here, Father.
Which means I need to go up. Oh, maybe I need to hit it? Oh, not that one. Gross. I don't know what to do. Nope. Oh. Whoops. Okay, so now we have a door that leads to the place that I was just at that I had to shimmy around, right? Correct. Okay. How do I get up there? I don't. Oh, here we go. Aha.
That gear. Looks like it would freeze. Maybe that lift can help us get higher. Might be easier to break that ground from up there.
How do we get to it though? What is that noise? Oh, the geyser. That geyser's going off. Don't you break it. That's what you say. Wah. Alright, I made it to the lift. Okay. Whoop. We're going up.
Think you could break through the ground from up there?
Can I? I better be able to, because this is going to be annoying. Oh, okay. Oh, shit. Okay, that's not gonna work.
Left side! Left side!
All right. More babies.
It's down!
Ew, let's just keep getting a bunch of more babies.
Behind you! Let's go!
Behind you, brother!
Ah, more babies.
Behind you! Incoming!
Behind you, watch out!
There we go, there we go. I love how this sounds so sweet while you're brutally kill a beast. I know. I don't know why. It's
Is this it? Over here?
oh shit, that's funny. I don't know why, but just I have my iTunes on so I can just kind of play through whatever. And I downloaded this new thing so I can isolate voices and audio.
That's the key we're
And
looking for. Now we must
I
head to
forgot that I had it
watchtower
on
the shore.
actually. But it's fine. I'm glad that it's working. And you can hear. Alrighty, so I got something. Did I finish the mission? Because I don't recall. I didn't read it. Eyes are watering.
What are you not saying?
The mining rigs are not the only sin I committed in Svartalfheim.
So I completed that? How do I... Wait, how do I... Hiya! There we go. There's a lot of stuff. Gotta find. Love, your love. I guess that's all I need, huh? Oh, there is that. Went. Nope, I can't make it. How do I get over there? I need to know. There's something for me. There's something for me over there. It's right here, isn't it? Not exactly. Oh, but that's something. That's definitely something. Okay, maybe I can figure it out if I get up here. Okay, how do I get over there, guys? Maybe the boat? I don't think so. I think there's something else that I have to do in order to get that. But that's okay. That's okay. We will figure it out. I want to look at it though.
What's the deal with Odin's ravens? They can just transport him anywhere?
Except for the realm between realms. Thankfully.
Ah, see?
Why?
Okay.
Harder to find, thanks to dwarven enchantments and Yggdrasil's very own nature.
Lucky us.
So to get there, I have to go through that little tunnel over there, but I can't get there until maybe we adjust the water level? I'm assuming. Oh, barrels. Barrels! Get all the barrels.
Did we get back to listing all the awful deeds of the Aesir gods? What about Fjorgyn? Thor's mother was a giant, wasn't she?
Indeed she was. The circumstances of her demise were murky at best, but not sure I can blame Odin for that one. He wasn't the same after.
Oh, I know. There was Skavi, the queen of the hunt.
Aye, she spurned Odin's affections, so he tricked her into killing her father.
Oh.
There was Starkadr the Mighty, the Jotnar military leader.
Landed by Odin, tricked and murdered by Thor.
And there was
There's a
Thrym the
lot of
Cunning,
crap in there.
giant king who stole Thor's hammer.
Odin traded him Freya
Enough.
to get it.
We will continue later.
I love Norse mythology. Oha! Hidden region discovered. Got you, birdie. Ah, I gotta do something. Oops. Huh. Don't know where to go from there. I think I could break this. Nope. Apparently not. Alright, I guess I'm pulling the lever. Pull the lever, Crunk. Wow.
Bet we could swing across that, lift thing.
Gantry.
Gantry.
Oh.
Not quite right.
Ay vey. I just swung it all the way down. No. Wait, yeah. Right there.
It's gotta be the right spot.
Oh, that'll explode.
Those barrels. They smell fuel. Bet a spark from your blades would cause quite a boom.
Okay. The kid's right there. Pull the lever, Kronk. Best movie for sure. Oh, lots of dead people. Oh, this does not look promising at all. Leave that life right there.
I think we could break through the ground here. If you found a high enough place to drop from.
Aha. They're everywhere. Can I just kill these? Alright, maybe I need to kill those things. Alright, that's what I'm gonna do. Fuck those things. If they come to life, I'm gonna die. I have to fight them all. No, thank you. No, thank you. That's a hard pass. Kick that thing off. Goodbye. He's so strong. That's a strong man. Oh. Will I make it there? Nope, not exactly. Alright, now we're opening everything up. Okay. This is where we were. This is where I killed those little... It's very rude to point, boy. Alright, I see it. And I'm breaking everything.
Surprised
Moving
the dwarves
on
didn't set these rigs
up.
off themselves.
Why don't
We
you
need to
try?
eventually watch that movie.
The Iron Yarn
Yes,
made
I
examples of
agree.
them.
They killed the dwarves? Couldn't you have convinced them not to?
Aye.
That old faithful keeps scaring me, man. Just keep doing it. It's one way. one way to defeat them all is just to keep grabbing them. What is that? I don't know. Do they come to life? I didn't want to check if they did or not. I was a little scared. So I just killed them just in case. You know? Just in case. Alright.
That should help.
Help what? I... What did that help? Because I'm not trying to go there, am I? I'm trying to get to that thing. I'm gonna drop it back down. Oh, I know what to do. Haha. I recall now. Oh no, other way, other way, other way. Too high, too high. This thing moves it down, so I can go down here and use my little thingy to get that. To get that. Huzzah! I am using my noggin. See, the crazy thing about this game is it used to be really, like, to me, harder to play. It was easy, but it was still harder to play. Now, do I need to go anywhere else? No, I think that's all I need to do. This one's easier? To me, it's easier. Oh, there we go. To me, it's easier because...
I don't think we can reach it there.
Because it's like, you press O to grapple onto things, you like... can hang on. I don't know, it's just a little bit more...
That looks right.
A little bit more simple. Before it was like combos. You had to know your combos. Oh, that does not look promising.
It wasn't so hard.
There's still combos in this one, but like... Did I already go down there? Yeah. There's still combos and stuff, but it's like not as... It's not as crazy. Oh, that is... That... Nope. Oh, they come to life, Cherry, you right! Hey, don't miss.
Behind you!
Ah, fuck.
Behind you, father!
I missed. Oh, he got me. Oh, I missed again.
Behind you! Look out!
Ah, shit. They keep telling me behind me and I'm not even looking.
Clear, push the pot! Knock him down!
What pot? Get rid of that one. Hold on, hold on, hold on. I gotta make sure. Oh, there he is. Oh, he's quick. It's Franco. Yeah. What difficult are you on, puppy mode? No, I'm on the regular. I'm just on the regular mode. my gosh. Okay.
If the dwarves agreed to the deal with Asgard, why do they blame you?
I talked them into their own exploitation.
They made their choice.
Work or die is not a choice. I only made it seem so. What you just picked up there is pure Svartalfheim ore. It won't be of use in the rig anymore, but
The blades
perhaps
are
our
OP.
Huldra
That's
brothers
why I
could
love
craft
the
something from
blades.
it.
My husband doesn't like it. And I'm like, what? Why do you not like the blades? That does not do shit. He's like, yeah, the axe is so much better. And I'm like, no, the blades, you can do so much more shit. I can go up there? I'm looking down. Shrek, I'm looking down. Okay, how do I get up there? Huh. There's gotta be something to get up there. There's something, there's something. Let's see. Oh. Okay, what? Huh? 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 Does it go higher than that? It does.
How did these rigs come to be?
I had them built to harvest ore for armaments. Essentially harnessing resources that would otherwise go to the dwarves.
You think shutting these things down will help the dwarves become independent?
I don't know, but I have to try something.
Alright, I'm up. How am I gonna reach out over there? Cause there's another chest over there. How do I get to it though? Somebody come yeeter.
Doesn't seem like we can reach it from down here.
No, it doesn't, does it? Oh, I can go, maybe, wait. Over. Down. Maybe. We'll find out. Alright. Figure that out. Figure it out. Figure it out. Yup. Alright, go up and then drop down. Okay, maybe. But it wouldn't let me go that way before. No, I want to go over there. I want to go over there. I can't get over here on this side. Huh. How to get to you? How to get to you? I don't know. I know this only takes me back to that, to this. I can't get up there from here. Oh! Hold on. Maybe? No? I don't know. We're gonna figure it out. I'm determined! Alright. This game is all about like puzzle solving. In the first few, the puzzles were like hecka crazy. So crazy. Okay, so now it's up there. I don't think I can reach it from here. No. I think I gotta keep going up. Let's see. Oh, hold on. I want to see if my husband will get me some In-N-Out burger. Puzzle solving games are my favorite. Yeah, that's what this is. There's gotta be some way to get to that thing right there. Or to get somewhere. Can I jump? Oh! There's gotta be... Okay. How do I get rid of that? Oh, wait.
Get off of.
Hell yeah, Atreus. Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. Okay. Oh! Okay, and now I can do now. What can I do? Oh! But where does that take me? Oh, that wall over there. Yeah, buddy!
Whoa!
Oh, yeah! Oh, yeah. Food, I know. I'm craving it. Figured it out. Figured it out. I am a genius! Yeah, that's right. Exquisita. Rapidly spinning melee attack that clears out surrounding. Oh, ooh. What do I press for it? I like that. That makes it very strong. Alright, I'll have to check if I want to actually mess with that later.
What is it, Mimir?
That's nothing, brother. Just... You ever have those moments where you wish you could
I think I got everything now, huh?
rewrite your own past, make different decisions?
Journeying through time is more trouble than it is worth.
Ah, fair point. You're speaking metaphorically, right?
No.
Of course you're not.
I think I've gotten it all. I'm gonna get to the map again. Well, I keep doing this. I keep doing a screenshot, and I'm not meaning to do that. Do you know? Ah, I got everything here. Yes, everything is gone. Alright, 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 alright. Yahoo! Here, hold my head. I love to
Thor and Odin
explore.
stories to remember? Who else? Ah, Hrungnir the Brawler, the stone giant.
Aye. Mocked by Odin, murdered by Thor.
Enough of this.
But there's more.
I do not care.
What is
War
that?
with Odin is not the answer.
You guys can still hear the music, correct? It comes through the stream? Oh, good.
Mimir, a little
I keep pressing the
While
wrong
ago.
button. There we go.
You mentioned Odin's ravens.
I need to know
What's to
how much
stop him
this
from
is
using
here,
them to pop
maybe.
into existence and kidnap anybody he wants?
Consent. The only way to travel by Odin's ravens is by your own choice.
Oh, it's not so... bad then.
I didn't get everything here because of... Okay, yeah. That's right, the chest. The chest! I've been here, the chest. I know now, I know. Alright, so there is one there. There's one here. But how do we get to this one? Oh yeah, that's right, right. No, we're gonna keep exploring. We are gonna keep exploring.
Think that crane still works?
I don't know. Let's find out.
There's another mining rig on this island, brother. Smell that smoke?
Why would the dwarves agree to work for the...
One,
in the
one,
first
okay.
place?
That's the heart of it, eh?
You lied to them.
I lied.
If the dwarves didn't like working for Asgard, couldn't they just quit?
Do what? Their newly built forges poisoned the soil of Svartalfheim. Unable to grow their own food, they had to buy it from Asgard. If they stopped working, they'd be taking food out of their own mouths.
Oh, that's clever. And awful.
Well, we're hopping right into this one. Damn. Oh, hell yeah. That's right. There's a chest.
Whoa, an Yggdrasil seed to Muspelheim. Think it might lead to that combat arena we visited years ago?
What makes you say that?
Wishful thinking, I guess.
Alright, what is the
Going through
crane
Surtur's
trying to
gauntlet.
grab?
It was fun.
It was
Oh,
training.
it looks like that right there.
didn't have
We're gonna
fun?
see.
Well, anyway, we should look for the other half of the seed. Once it's whole
Oh.
again, we can see where it leads.
The Crucible. So I got another side quest. Alright. I think I need to move it again. Okay. Oh wait, no, no, no. Move it back. Move it back. I need to go across first. Okay, now I need to move it there. Alright. Nope, wrong button.
Great, now we can make it across.
What? No, we can't. What are you talking about, Willis? It's right here. Need to move it again. Like that. Wow.
What's your right?
Can't reach it. Okay, I might need you again, Craney Crane. go. There we go. There we go. Getting all them chips. Gonna level everything up. Oh, how do I get up there? Huh. Oh, found out how to get up there. Atreus, you first. You go first into danger. NBD. It's only danger. See, look, there's another one of those things. I might need this life.
They just keep coming.
It's a bear trap. Spawning a little wretches like there's no tomorrow.
For her, it will be so!
Behind you! Watch out!
I kicked it. I just kicked the little things. Atreus, kill the little things. I can't be bothered with these little things.
Left side, incoming!
Oh shit, I went right into him.
Behind you, brother!
They're everywhere. Oh my gosh.
Behind you! Look out!
I'm dumb.
Behind you, father! Left side!
Children first. I know, right? Oh my brutal. That was...
One left!
Where? Just kill it, Atreus. Oops, blew up myself. Alright, anything I need to get? Okay, now we're gonna go do this thingy. And boom! Goodbye mine.
Oh. You okay, Mimir?
To the blacksmiths of Svartalfheim, the creation of a weapon was a sacred thing. But Odin just wanted as many blades as he could get, as fast as he could get them. With every stolen resource or mediocre blade, the dwarves lost a bit of themselves.
Poor dwarves. They went through a lot. Let's see. I didn't find the lore yet, so where's the lore? Alrighty, where could the lore be? Probably over there, probably in this little box or lower. Alright, we're gonna... Oh, I see it. Oh.
Anything illuminating?
Okay, it can see me. How can it see me? Where can I hit it from? Oh. It's a normal one. Weird. Maybe I have to hit it from over there. I need to change something real quick. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba. Yeah. Oh, there we go.
Father, I wanted to ask you something about your blades. The ones from your homeland.
What of them?
Why don't you just throw them away? I see the way you look at them sometimes. Like you're... I don't know. Like you hate them.
Even hateful things have their uses. Besides, I tried. They came back.
I tried, but they came back. It's because you murdered your wife and child with your blades. That's why you feel that way. That's why, Kratos, we know. And it's forever haunting you because you were possessed. Okay, what else do I need to find? Whoop, whoop. Something. There's something that I have not discovered yet. Traumatizing, I know, right? It's very, very, very interesting story. I'm missing something here, but I don't know what it is.
Father, what was Spartan training like?
Unforgiving.
It's awful.
Is that why you didn't train me like one? Did you not think I could handle it?
I did not think you should have had to.
Thanks.
What are these things? Oh, that's not what I wanted. Okay. What does it do though? Nothing? 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 Tra-la-la. I just don't see what else there could be. Nice upper body strength. I know, right? I wish I could do that. There's gotta be something. I'm missing something. Oops.
You know what? Face is itchy. I think my beard's coming in.
Huh.
Is it?
Yeah, on my jawline. See? It's growing.
Huh.
Is
Is
it?
it?
That's not just dirt.
It's not dirt.
It's not dirt. It's Kratos. Oh yeah? Your beard? Boop! Did it not work? Oh, it worked. There it is. It's just quiet for me. What'd I miss? What'd I miss? Wow! It did. It worked. Do you guys see anything I may have missed? There it is. Boop, boop, boop. I don't see anything. I've already hit that thing many, many, many times. Maybe if I keep hitting it? Wow! Nor the game. Just your voice and the... And wait, what? There's no game audio? What? Let me see something. Oh, weird. What the fuck? I don't know why it was doing that. I fixed it. It had it turned off. That's weird. Now can you hear the game?
Mimir, wouldn't you prefer to face forward rather than
I thought it was on
backward?
purpose.
We
No.
already tried.
There were issues with viscera.
Oh.
There was a brief bit
How
where
funny.
I thought I might get used to it.
He did not.
How funny. I didn't even realize that I did that. I'm stupid. Wonder how far it'll go. I guess that's it. I guess that's all it is. Alright, there's nothing I see here. I don't see no undiscoverable that I can get to. I thought you just like hearing music while playing with no game in sound. Oh my gosh! I feel so dumb! I had no idea that you guys couldn't hear the game. That's hilarious. That is hilarious. The game actually is really loud, so I was like, why could you not hear it? What the heck? Ta-da, 'cause I'm dumb. 'Cause I pressed all the wrong buttons. Cannot believe it. Hold on, I'm checking something.
Father, what's the biggest thing you've ever fought?
The biggest
I
thing?
do not know.
You can't remember?
The dwarf survived because of you.
I am not wrong there, brother. Odin would have wiped out every last dwarf in Svartalfheim. If he couldn't use their skills, no one could.
Wonder why I can't find whatever this last undiscoverable is. And I don't even see it up there. Nothing. Ooh, what that? Sparkly on the water. That's right. Collect everything. So I need to kill this bird and I don't know how. Oh, he flies up there. Okay. Okay. Whoa, 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 whoa. Lord, Terry put it in reverse. There we go.
Father, you ever wonder if you're doing the right thing?
No.
Okay.
Do you ever wonder if you're doing the right thing?
So we're going
No.
to Durlan's? Makes sense. We could always explore those mining rigs later. This is the safety office?
Well, the sign a hair's breadth away from a head injury up there certainly gives that impression.
It's cold.
We're looking for Durlan?
You have an appointment?
No? Has anyone ever had an appointment here?
Durlan!
Here to collect on something, pal? Think, parading a severed head around on your hip is gonna scare me into somehow approving Esther's accretion proposal, eh?
Oh no.
We are looking for a prisoner of Odin's.
He's being kept in a mine somewhere. Some friends of ours said that you could help.
Where did you get... You chop her head off with that too, eh?
Oh no.
She was my wife.
What the
Tina
heck?
and I wondered where
He's
she went
got
after our
a,
little
he's got a,
deal failed.
he's got a pet
Failed?
octopus.
Yeah, come. Failed.
Oh,
Faye is dead.
Faye is dead.
Rest of them are. One's left alive have to pay the price. I'm afraid I can't help you with your little prisoner situation.
But he could have answers on how to stop Odin. And free Svartalfheim from the Aesir.
Now, I'm not in the business of crossing the old father
Oh, no.
anymore.
Oh no.
Wait, before you go.
It spits ink on there.
Take this.
What is it?
How
A fine.
cute.
Hygiene code violation for improper transport of a rotting head. 2 demerits for speaking the All-Father's given name, and, yeah, for fucking up my desk!
A fine?
Pay it at your leisure, okay? Get out of my office.
Get out of my office.
Hey there.
So
The game
what
from the
about
future?
Get out of my office? Don't you understand?
You said her name was Diener? Oh, sure. Thank you. I think.
Oh, okay. So here's more
Hey,
stuff.
this isn't a fine.
Not now. There are enemies ahead.
Watch your left!
It's clinging to the wall! We gotta knock it down!
I'm dying. Ah, shit. Life, 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 life. Oh my gosh. Life, 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 somewhere, please. Ah, of course I did die. The fighting scenes are more intense now with sound. Yeah, a lot more intense. I messed up. Alright, let's take care of the ones up top first. Oh, there isn't one up top. Wow.
It's clinging to the wall! We gotta knock it down!
Where did he go? Alright. Alright, he's down. Let it come to me. Oh, brutal. Oi. Oi, where'd he go?
Behind you, watch out!
Emotional damage. Oh, he's dead. Just knock it off, I guess. And then, alright, I'm going.
Incoming! Above you! Watch out!
Ooh, brutal. The fights with the first big had no sound. Super lovely. Oh, I'm dying.
It's clinging to the wall! We gotta knock it down!
Behind you!
Oh. Is that all of them?
Okay. As I was saying,
Yeah, that's all
Darren
of
wrote
them.
down directions.
As I was
The
saying.
dwarf has given us a map.
Sort of. You smelled him? But seems to leave your mind beyond
So
that
Kiki was hearing the mauling of a bear.
Ah,
I was
cute.
hearing all of it.
Darlan helped us anyway.
And
Not
I was
everyone
wondering, I
uses
was like, wait,
axes and
what?
arrows to fight.
A wooden bowl, a plastic water bottle, and a paper towel roll. Oh, he's a sharpshooter. Man, that's funny to me. Oh, can't break it. I feel so dumb. Oh, look, a heart. The redeemed sounds can't be heard either. Okay, let me see. So you just heard me doing it. Let me see what's happening here with my sounds. Unhide all. Let's see. Advanced audio properties, blurb. It should work. Let me try. Did you hear that one or no? Nothing, huh? I wonder why. Very odd. Very interesting. It says it's on. My blurb thing, it says it's on. But I'm not sure why it's not showing up through the stream. I think maybe because I turned my desktop audio off. But the problem is, if I did that, you'd hear like everything. Like my game, my, like 2 of the audio, probably. You probably hear double of everything. Let me try this again. Did it play on that one? No. Blurb, why? Not a sound. Okay, that's weird. Anything? Huzzah! Oh, good. That means that my tits probably doesn't make sound either. Did you hear the tits noise? Did it make a sound? Let's see. But did it? No sound. Okay, I figured it would. How stupid. Alright, here I go. Let me get it. Oops. Okay. It's very quiet, isn't it? So much, so much. Oh, here we go. Try that again. Okay. Is it heard? Yeah? Oh my gosh. How embarrassing. Everything's just not working. Which means this probably isn't going to work either. Okay. The stream stickers probably needs that too. So I got blurb. Let's see, what else am I missing? My pickle? No. Blurb, stream stickers. Okay. So now I think everything should work. I hope. Woo, okay. Technical difficulties, everybody. Oh, there's something over there. I guess I could have used that to kill them, but I didn't. Why you keep going up there, Atreus? Oh!
I think I see something.
Well now, we're going through a door.
This thing looks like it can take us up the mountain. Maybe we'll be able to see a mine up there.
Ah, nothing quite like a dwarven train ride.
A dwarven train ride. Let me explore first before we do that. I saw some shit. Alright, I did. Oh look, a portal.
We can take that train up the mountain when you're ready, brother.
I'm not ready. There's a boat down there.
New container, a wooden bowl, a plastic water bottle, and a paper towel roll.
Is she working? Okay, so there's gotta be something I can do with this
I think
thing.
we need more special equipment to use this.
I gotta figure that out first before I do anything. What's this? What is that? What? I need, let's see. I got a chest. Turning up my music a little bit more so I can dance along. Another way to call a cat a kitty. OPP. OP pussy. What is the use of doing that? I don't know. Oh. No. Yeah, you know me. Yeah, you know me. Yeah, you know me.
I thought I said.
Just passing through.
Shut up, man. Shut up. We're getting out of here, I promise.
Darren's map points to a mine. I see a mountain back on the other side of his office. Maybe we should head that way.
No harm in exploring a bit.
Getting back in this boat. Try to explore the area before we get on that choo-choo train. Between 6% between. Oh no. $6%, mommy, please. Cherry don't love her children's. There we go. Oh, I crashed. Yeah, you know me. Yeah, you know me. So... there's one more to do. And it's the one I don't really want to do. But I need to learn a new skill. Oh yeah, today's the last day for the highest power of Star Trek. When are you going to announce the winner? I need to see... okay, I was actually going to post in the Discord probably at the end of the stream. I need you guys to take a screenshot of your guys' level. So that way I can...
Is that pure Svartalfheim slag? Give it here.
So that way I can, you know. What do I need? Chaos Flame? Oh, of course.
Nothing appeals to you? I'll disinfect my tools.
Good fit.
Wear it with pride. Huh. That might be my best piece yet today. I'll heat up the forge.
Can I... what do I need to sell? Okay. All the
That belonged
poems.
to one of the rebels, didn't it?
How about asking people to join the Alliance? You can check their power by looking at their profile. That's true. That is true.
Take care of your armor, and it'll take care of you.
Alright, maybe I can upgrade... oops, maybe I can upgrade my axe and stuff. Oh, got it. Okay, so now... now I know! Star Trekking across the universe on a Starship Enterprise. Enter Captain Kirk, Star Trekking. Yes. I think we need to.
You hear that?
I think we need to
Thought I heard a voice.
maybe do that.
Let's keep
like
going, lad.
you suggested.
Just put the key into that lock, brother.
I got the key for this thing. Huzzah!
There. If you could give that drum a good loud strike.
What did that do?
What? So
Oh, the
that's
water.
the voice I heard.
I'd hoped it would have escaped by now, but we'll need to free it from its restraints.
What is this?
A Lungbocker. I captured it many years ago.
Oh my gosh! It's still alive! Atlantis? Jerry. It's a big, huge crocodile looking thing, okay? That's what it looked like to me. Big, giant, scary crocodile. Cherry Atlantis? You funny. Alpha. And hello, Atlantis? Oh, there's an axe right here. Can I grab it? No, no, can't. Oh, it's a hammer. Oh yeah, that's right. This thing. All right. Aya. Ah!
Bloody Draugr holes. We've got to clear out all these undead bastards.
Oh my gosh!
Fire, Kratos! It will pass.
Oh my gosh! Okay, I died that fast last time too. Oh, they're too much. Oh my gosh! I will not be able to beat this guy. I gotta run. Run! Oh my gosh! Alright.
Want something in particular?
I need that. I needed that reservation. Son of a son to the rescue, for real. My gosh. There's no life anywhere. How fun. Alright, we're gonna skip that guy.
Of your deeds with shame. Do you regret not allowing Odin to kill them?
That's awful. That was so bad. Alright, now I know this is the area we're supposed to be in. There's that. Oh, but there's so many of them.
Poison at your back!
Alright, alright, alright. One at a time, one at a time. Ah!
Behind you, brother! It's down!
What is that? I don't like that thing.
Lad, showing him!
I missed. Oh, sheesh. It didn't explode. Oops, I missed.
Break the pot! Knock him down! Behind you, brother! Yoppa!
I missed.
Behind you! Look out!
Oh, you still got me. You still got me, you brat. Holy shitballs. Next, I love all of you. Every piece of you, Nexie. All of it. Alright, let's open it up. Let's shut this mother clucker down. Boop. Alright.
It's done.
If you could call so meager a task done. A wee drop out of the Asgardian occupational bucket.
You must live with your deeds, but do not be troubled by them, brother.
Oh? And why not?
You were given an impossible problem. Do not blame yourself for failing to solve it.
I'm sure the dwarves would feel differently. This doesn't fix things.
No, but it is a start.
A reminder,
What?
brother. That Svartalfheim slag you collected could be of considerable use in the hands of Brock or Sindri.
This isn't working. This chest is locked. L2R2 to ignite the torches above the 3 runes. Aha! I was doing it wrong the whole time. Okay. Havana, oh Nana. That's where my heart is in Havana, oh Nana. Eh. There we go. where's the last one at? No, there it is. I gotta go above. Right. How do I get in there? There's no way. Uh-huh. I fell. Try that again. It lit it? Yay! Horn of blood. Yes. Alright, so that's done. Now I just gotta worry about those ridiculous monsters that I know I can't beat. I wonder how I'm supposed to beat them. There's gotta be like a way. Look at it, it's so cute. It's so cute. I don't want to go up there. I don't think I'll make it. Look at his little lizard! Look at his face! Look at his face! It's so cute! Ah! Hello, little lizard. You are very cute. You are very cute. Very, very cute. It's so cute! Oh. Okay. I had my moment. Here we go. I don't think I'm gonna make it out of here alive. But it's worth a shot. Come on out. Oh my gosh. Ah, shit.
Behind you, brother!
There's so many of them.
On your right!
Ay,
You're on
sheesh.
fire, Kratos! It will pass!
This is Batani. Oh my gosh. No! Oh, this is scary.
Brother, no!
No, I died. Kitty scratches. Aw. Thank you so much for the kitty scratches. She is very relaxed right now, so I give her gentle little scratches. Yes, that's my Vitani. Yeah, sweetie, that's a pretty girl. Sweet little girl. She's so comfy and cozy. Good girl. You good girl. Alrighty, so do I get another chance to do this shit? Give love to Vitani. Thank you, Cookie. thank you for giving her some loves. Look at her, she's still peeking out of her paws like, is there more? Alright, let's see. We'll now save for the next stream. Right on, thank you. Alright, so I just gotta like really dodge this guy. I don't think my blades will help because it's also fire, so I need to fight with this. Unfortunately. Is it him or me? How do I get that thing? It's very fast.
Careful.
Maybe I'll just pinpoint it right here. If I can. Nope. Come on out.
We've got to clear out all these undead bastards. You're on fire, Kratos. It will pass.
Oh shit. Oh no! Oh no. Oh shit.
One left.
Shit. There is no life. Ah! Oh my gosh, that was so quick. Oh my gosh. He came in so freaking quick.
Brother, get up, brother.
Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. I can't. Okay, I guess I gotta focus. I gotta focus on, man, I don't know. That was so fast. I was not expecting the speed that came from that. That's what she said. Anyway.
We've got to clear out.
I guess I'm gonna go for the... Oh shit! I tried to block! Oh my gosh! Okay, this is hard.
It will pass.
Ah! They're both here! Oh no, there's no way. Yeah, there's no way. I already messed up right in the beginning there. I messed up right in the beginning there. There was no way. There was no way. Shield, you need to shield more. I do. I tried to press the shield, but for some reason, like, it wouldn't it wouldn't activate for me. All right. I'm ready. This time I'm gonna get it.
We've got to clear out all these undead bastards.
You brat. Oh no. Oh shit. Oh shit, it's getting faster. Oh no.
It will pass.
Oh shit, I forgot I can't block the red ones.
Won't be hearing any more from those drops.
I was targeting them. Oh. Oh. Oh man, that was a doozy.
Victory screech!
Victory screech! Man, my whole entire body was like, I can't do this. Blade attachment. Oh. I wonder if I'm gonna have to, probably gonna have to figure out how to, how am I gonna get this bird? There's no way. He's hard to get. Wah. So it goes about right here. Now! Yeah, baby! I got that one. Oy vey. Is there any life in that? No. I have done it! Yay! That means I get to open this. Mwahaha!
Thank you.
Crafting component. Okay, what do I have going on? I now have... The original steel handles of the Blades of Chaos, familiar and reliable. What does this do? Killing enemies with a flame whiplash smash. Triangle causes a burn. Shockwaves increase burn status. Okay. I like this one. Well, my luck went up on that one. Oops. What is this? Oh. I don't know which one I'd want to pick here. Because we have... This one will, like, throw them. And slam to the ground. Okay. But this one... I'm gonna go with the damage. What is this? Okay. Okay. We did a good thing. Alright, let's get in our boat. Wait, did I get everything here? Yes, I got the raven. I got everything on that. We can do this.
Ah, the mining rig's disabled. It seems a bit fresher out here.
Not seems. Is.
That seems is.
You're right.
Alright.
Thanks, brother.
Where's my crocodile friend at? Where the heck did my crocodile friend go? Wasn't he just over here somewhere? Oh! There's a flying fish. Crocodile Island, yeah. Crocodile Island, it's somewhere. Maybe it's over here? Wait, where the heck is Crocodile Island at? Crocodile Island, where art thou? Look at the flying fish. There's flying fish. Okay, so I'm gonna assume that it's that way. We'll go that way. We'll go that way. Something is happening over there, see? There's like blue. Oh no, it's loading. Nope, this way's not it either, but I got a barrel. Okay. I thought Crocodile Island was to the left, but I'm wrong. There's just an island over there. Oh, there it is. Yeah. In the line. There you are, you pretty crocodile. Oh, look at that. That's what that geyser was. It was you. I'm gonna get real close. Are you friendly? Are you a friendly crocodile thing? Look at your eyeball. Oh my gosh, look at the eyeball. Wow. The detail. Whoa, don't eat me, please. It's a whale. Look at him. Look at those teeth. There's a big, huge whale. How do I get on there? How do I get over there to Dawkin? Oh, maybe right here? Maybe not.
Can't dock here. Maybe there's another way up?
Ah! Wayland! Oh, over there! Another flying fish. Yes! Oh, what?
This creature, you enslaved it.
Aye.
But why?
Because I was young and stupid. And I didn't know what it was like to be chained in one place for years at a time, with nothing to occupy your mind but
Poor
pain.
thing. They come to life. Karma now, he's a head chained to Kratos' hip. Exactly! He's paying his price. He is paying his price. Can't open that, huh? Oh, I'm setting him free! Oh, I'm so happy.
We chained the fins too. If you could. Easy. Easy.
Oh, yay. Oh, yay. I get to set it
That
free.
creature's hurting.
But we're going to free it.
But it will always be chained. You know that as well as I.
Now for the other fin. There may be a way to reach it behind that collapsed debris.
Yeah. We're good. Oh, no, no, no.
Above you, father!
I tried to block it with him. You wanted
You're
to
angry with me,
it, let me
aren't
know.
you, brother?
I am angry with
remember
you.
the feeling of a yoke around my neck. I would not wish it upon another.
I'm so excited. I'm
Learn
gonna get to
anything?
free him. Alrighty. I need to go over here first. How do I clear this? I need something. Is there something?
We'll need explosives to clear that debris. Don't see
Alright.
any nearby.
Don't strain your back. Free Willy! We're gonna name it Willy. Wait. I can go up here too, okay. There we go. Here we go, here we go. I'm gonna go this way. There's a lot of stuff over here.
More
On this
inspiring
island.
lyricism from the mind of Kvasir.
Cool beans, cool beans. We have freed him. Let's see. I can see everything from up here. Oh, how do we get that though? That's what I want to know. How do I throw explosives down there? Right there. Wish I could just let go. Ah, yeah.
Another Krogan to the left!
Ah, no! I'm trying to grab that thing. Shit. Oh yo,
Why slay
yo.
the creature?
Its fat was a good source of oil for Odin's lanterns.
Oil for lanterns.
So I can go
Whatever
down
anger you're
there,
feeling,
or
whatever loathing toward me, it's nothing to what I've said to myself.
okay, another one requiring explosives. Can I like pick up explosives and throw it? Or maybe that'll fall off when I cut this. Yes! Oh yes!
Befin, if you could.
I know.
Just the tail left now.
Look out! Rat's neck!
Oh yeah, there's one.
The nest was hiding some sort of device.
Yes! You've gotta be kidding me! I'm stoked. Will it explode on me though? Yes! That was great. We are freeing Willy, and in the process getting a lot of good loot. Get up on the floor, dance until the break of dawn. Get up on the floor. Get up on the floor.
That dock's still inaccessible.
Maybe
Perhaps
I
we
can
can do something about that from
Maybe I
up
can
here.
throw it. Maybe I can throw it.
That dock's still inaccessible. Perhaps we can do something about that from up here.
Maybe that dock can lead us to the tail. Let's get back to the boat.
Yeah. Is that everything I needed here? Is there anything else? Yes, I see you. I see that dang bird. There's something over there too. Okay, I need to go up.
You never spoke of this creature.
Does that surprise you? That
Getting
an old
close, I
man
know.
would be ashamed of the mistakes he's made.
No.
Okay, I gotta go up, I guess. I just have to unlock his tail. And I hope you can forgive, you know. I feel for this little animal. It's not real, but I feel for it. Alright, I have to get that bird. Where'd the bird go? There's more stuff to do over here, huh? Oh no, I've been here. We're on the other side of what I did earlier. Okay. So I missed out on that. Oh yeah, that was that chest that I wanted to get, but how do I get there? How do I do it? Maybe from here I can get that bird? Nope. Gotta aim higher. Nope. Nope. I'm determined. Alright, no, it needs to be more over this way. Oh, it's so close. Oh my gosh. How? How do I do it? Oh. Ah, it's so close. I'm gonna get it. No, it's so freaking close. It's insane. I know I'm too far, but I'm gonna try. It's so close. Anyway, I need to figure out how to get it. Not necessarily have to get it, but I want it. I want it so bad. See, way too far over there. What about this door? There's something over here. Okay, there's something over this way. Just how do I get there? I don't know how. Kiki's still a god. Hey, hello Fugo. How you doing? How's it going? I gotta go dock the boat on the other side.
I'd hoped the creature would be long expired by now. But apparently the Aesir couldn't even be bothered to mercy kill it once it was no longer useful.
We could kill it.
That's sad.
No. Not when we can save it.
Kratos wants to kill it. We can kill it. No.
Good. We can reach the tail from this dock.
You would still save this broken creature.
I know what it is to be imprisoned like this. I can't just leave it.
And if it is beyond saving,
I don't understand.
let us continue.
Nightmare!
Oh, I accidentally hit that. Ah, how stupid. How stupid. Can I stop it? Okay, I can stop it.
Behind you, brother!
I hit Z target and then I missed. Because I let go.
Incoming! Right side!
What is going on here? I am dying.
Behind you! Incoming!
Oh.
On your left!
Oh my gosh.
Yappa!
Right flank!
Can you shoot him, Atreus?
It's done! Grab him!
Give me life.
Behind you, brother!
Oh yo, I'm dying. All right. Oh. Freaking missed. I did it. 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 There is no little thingy. I can undo the tail right now though, but what would happen? Huh? this is where we are. Okay, we're back. And we back.
Tail must be chained as well.
Oh. How am I gonna get over there?
Sliding down that rope should take us where we need to go.
But I'm not ready. Well, maybe I'm ready. Cause I can't get those boxes. I want to get those boxes. It's making my OCD go crazy right now. Oh, I know what to do here. I remember. There's one of those things over here. I know. Does that ever happen to you? You just wanna. When? Can I get back over here? Yeah. Yay! Okay, I got that box. But now what? How do I get to the other boxes over there? Well, I guess there isn't a way. I guess I'm releasing them now. Release the Kraken. I don't know why, like I have that thing. Like I see it and I'm like, I need to get it. I need to get it now. Alright, we going down. Here we go. Zoom. Ooh, that must be hot. Oh, look, a chest. Very nice. Got a chest. Got a chest. Alrighty. I see now. You are free!
There! You're free! What's going on? Maybe it needs a little encouragement. Can you get me closer to its eye for a face-to-face, brother?
I guess so, but how do I get back to my boat? I don't know how to get back to my boat. I can't climb the rope again. Help? How I get down from here? Oh. Never mind, I figured it out. Oh, this is locked. Still. Aw, thanks, Nexie. I was typing the door, but you saw it was
This
as
creature,
I was typing.
the mining
Oh,
rigs.
what door?
They're mistakes, Mimir. But it's Odin's fault.
That's not an excuse, little one. But thank you for saying it.
I wanna get that. So many squatches. You might get mad though. On this side, did I already get everything? Alrighty. Poor thing.
Go on, you great blubbering beast. Shoo! It's not moving. Why is it not moving?
It has grown accustomed to its chains.
But... No. No, we can fix this. We just need to chase it off. Scare it. Something.
There
Scare
is
it?
no making things right.
Why would we scare it?
Only better than they were.
It likes the wind blowing on its face. I can feel it.
May provide some comfort.
That's not enough.
It seldom is.
So it's free, but it doesn't want to be free. It doesn't want to be free. Trauma, yeah. I've been there already. There's no other way to get up. Yeah. Well, I guess I won't be getting anything from that. Dang it. Even though I wanted to get that last chest. Stupid me. Alrighty. Here we go. Now I can successfully go and get on the choo-choo train. Wait, where is the choo-choo train? Where's the train? Aha, yes, this way. Poor whale, though. Can you imagine being locked up for that long?
Just passing through. Again.
Are you testing me? Get out!
Horrible, yeah. Do I need life? Yes, I do. I'm gonna go get more life. There we go. Let's do it. We're going in on this little choo-choo train. Why is he hunching over so much, the little kid?
Heimdall. There's a name I don't miss hearing.
No one said it until you did, just now.
Durlin. He didn't need to say it, brother. It was written all over his face. Well, burned, I should say. Into his head.
He burned that into Durlin's head?
Failed rebellions tend to warrant swift and enduring retribution.
He is a captain of Odin.
Aye, and the bearer of Gjallarhorn. A true believer, that one. There are few things so dangerous in a man as lack of doubt.
Seems like
And
we're here.
your next
Come
stop.
on. This way. I can see another train. Let's look for a way to get over there.
Whoa. Whoa, we're way up. There's another lizard. We're way up here. That looks like a roller coaster. Wow. Oh, there's our whale over there. Oh my goodness, you can see everything.
You know,
Willie, it didn't get
maybe
free. I
finding
know,
Tyr's
it's just
our best
hanging out
protection.
over there.
Seemed like Odin really didn't want us to find it. Once Tyr's free and can be God of War again, Odin won't have time to worry about us.
If that is his war to fight, he may have it.
Keep your eyes out for any green birds. How the hell am I gonna move this? What? I guess I'm going this way. A bug! Let's squish it. Ah. I'm missing every hit. I want to squish you! Yeah, there you go. I don't know what that means. Oh, I know what that means. Let's find it. Oh, there's one. Can I just hit it?
I think we need more special equipment to use this.
Really?
I don't think this is working, brother. Maybe we should come back.
I don't want to come back. That means I need something else. How annoying. Alright, 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 alright.
A bomb.
Deactivated, but yes. Likely one belonging to Barry, the dwarf, builder of the Great Hall, Lua.
I have a bomb. Oh, when did that open up? There's a really
Is that a
freshly
Trekkie?
dead,
What happened here?
Use caution.
really freshly
I
dead
think it's
one.
dead. Yep, definitely dead. Hey, I wonder if...
Atreus!
Oh no, I'm not excited for this. These are hard to kill. Oh shit. Alright. Ah, fuck! Alright. Life, 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 life. Ah, yeah! How do I dodge the tail? Alrighty. I just got life, you jerk. Oh no. Oh no. Aim for the jugular. Alright. Oh my gosh.
This is a fine mess.
Hold L1, R1 to perform. Okay. Those things are hard to kill. I do remember. I do remember. Oh, he's back.
Tail, watch out!
Hiya. Oh no! I was so close to the. I was so close to.
Brother, get.
I was right next to the life. I could have just been like, I get it, get it, get. Oh, boop. All right.
Watch out!
Oh fuck, he has lightning! Ah, no! You go away from me! Hiya. Alrighty. Come on, boyo. No. There we go. There we go. There we go. There we go.
Ready! Together!
Oh my lantern, that was a ride.
Stay on your guard. There could be
That
others
was a
around.
whole ride right there. Oh my gosh. Nixie has 6% with everyone.
If so, it was their aggression that got them both killed.
Oh. Hmm. Woo! That was intense! Alright, let's explore a little bit. Where did I come from? Oh? I came from there. Okay. Rhythm time. Alright, I can't go there. Oh, hey! Ahaha! Rhythm time.
Down there, I can see a mine. That has to be what Durlin was talking about.
A mine.
Tracks up on the left there. Might be another train we can take.
Father,
Oh.
what if a war with Odin isn't just Tyr's to fight? What if it's ours too?
War is not the only way.
We're gods. Better gods. We're trying to stop Ragnarok, to help people. And what if the only way to do that is war?
Atreus,
Atreus. Atreus. None of that. None of that, Atreus. Ew, this guy has like a. Oh, okay. I got some lore. And there's a chest. We doing great things today. Alright.
Forge ahead. Unintended, I imagine.
Oh no, this is so spoiler for you. Oh no! Don't look! Shield your eyes, Wayne! Shield your eyes! Doop, 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 doop. Alrighty. You're not that far yet? This isn't very far actually. I've been doing a lot of side paces. And doing trying to get like all the chests I can. You've not even started the game. Oh no! How do I get over there? Oh. Oh no! And you didn't finish the first one? Ah, I mean it'll recap it for you.
The wreckers keep coming from that pillar. Looks like I'm there.
Here's that cart. I don't want to get in it yet. There's things for me to do, isn't there? Actually, no, not really.
Looks like we have to get this one back on the tracks.
Oh. How about on PC? Oh,
Wow,
smart.
This thing is small.
Smart. You can do
need to go
that.
right.
Audio only. But I mean, it depends on if you want to.
Wait, I meant my left. Keep going. We're so close. Just a little to the left. Yeah, that's it. Round 2. Here we go.
I don't want to get in there yet. I want to look around. Mercy.
Whenever you're ready.
Oh, mercy on you. Lose, Kiki, just lose. Why? Why lose? I like to explore. That's what I like to do. I know I've been here already, but I always feel like I missed something. So I run around and look. Tell me what to do. Okay, alright, I've been here. Alright. Kiki the Explorer. Kiki the Explorer. Yay! Who's a super cool ass Kiki? Tell me what to do. Tell me what to do. Oh. Okay, I guess that's it. Here I thought I'd find something else. Why did you leap like a gazelle, Kratos? What was the purpose of that? That was beautiful, though. All of a sudden he's all frolic through the air. Let her run. I want that. How do I get there? Huh? I don't know how to get there. Maybe I can walk on the track. Can I? I don't know what to do. Don't fall. I won't fall. I'll be okay. Oh, I guess that's it. There's a waterfall. Aha! Ay, I missed. No! It's hard to get these birds. It's really hard. No! This needs skill is easy? Is it? It's not for me. This bird. This damn bird. Alright, alright, alright. I'm gonna get it this time. I'm getting it. I'm getting it. I'm getting it. Damn it! Alright, I need to maybe find a different angle. Tell me what to do. Oh, it's too- whoa, that was really too close. Hey, what's this? Is this the way I came? Yes, okay. The one that looks like a damn roller coaster. Alrighty, I want this bird. Damn, it's hard. Okay, right about here he comes by. There's a what? Nope. I fancy you. Ooh, 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 ooh. Huzzah! Thank you, Cherry. Thank you, Cherry. Thank you, Wayne. Thank you, thank you. We got the borb. We got the borb. C is CC. Take it easy on me. Take it easy.
The Kraken hatchling gave you a stone.
Kraken. Oh, Diener. Yeah, it's covered in algae. I was thinking we could show it to Brock and Sindri when we got back. Here. Okay, so, we came here looking for Tyr because we don't trust Odin, right? If you think about it, Thor could...
Oh, roller coaster. Roller coaster. Ah!
On your left!
Right. Oh no.
Tell me where! Look for a brake to stop the train! Should be a lever of some sort!
Found it! The brake's stuck!
Keep trying, little fella!
Oh my gosh.
Father!
Stop this train!
Oh my gosh.
I think it's about to...
No!
Oh no.
Shit!
Shit. That's me. Shit. Oh, that was easy. Oh my gosh! Oh no. That's right. I almost peed my pants. That was a big ass monster. Oh my gosh.
I can't believe it. Are you serious?
Oh, whoa. I'm not ready for this.
Down!
I need to switch.
Behind you! Incoming!
Oh no. I just pulled him closer to the wall. Oh shit! My oh my. Let's have a look-see. Oh wait, what? Way over there! I can't get down there though.
That's crazy. All of it.
You said it, little brother.
Wowza.
Go.
Scuffer. Oh yeah, a hint of the music is playing long and hard means fight is going on. I know. I love playing music while I game. No, there's more.
Poison from above!
Right side!
Hey! Oh, you dodged? You were so quick! Why are you a fast lizard?
Watch your right!
Yappa! Look out!
All right. He went all the way down to the bottom. Oh, we opened an area. Where'd he go? Where'd he go? doing up there, buddy? What are you doing? What are you doing up there? You good? Are you good? Do you need some help? You need some Alright. Come here. Oh gosh. I love it when I catch glitches in games. That's like the funniest shit. Oh gosh. I can't breathe. That was hilarious to me.
Incredible.
What do I need to do with— oh, is that a bird? I see another bird. Oh, but that one looks very hard to get. Oh, he's flying in a figure 8 and he starts right about here. Okay. Right about now. Ow! Oh, look, another bird, but not the right one. Oh! I cannot believe how funny that was to me. Nope. But I was in the right spot. No! Okay, I throw it too early. Aw, kitty scratches. I will. I'll get some scratches to Vitani. Yeah, I got it. There we go. Lots of love for the kitty. Lots of love for the kitty. Sweet little kitty. And if you wonder which kitty it is, she's got the blue one, so that's Vitani. Red is Clementine. Do a temple massage. Oh yeah. We have Kitty fight the boss? Oh man, that'd be funny. Alright. I can go down. Oh yeah, I'm gonna get that chest. I hate when I accidentally press buttons.
The whetstone of the Night Ripper. When resisting an occupation, sometimes the most obvious methods are the best.
It is old.
There's something
No
that I need to
longer
do
of use.
here.
But enough about you. I'm talking about the whetstone.
Nope. Nope. On the boss, she died like 4 times. I died like a lot of times. A lot more than 4. Destroy everything. Destroy everything. Mwahaha. Oh look. Pack silver. Oh, that's a rock. Alright, I guess I'm going there. I don't know what I need to do with that contraption there. I'm guessing there's gonna be something I do with it. Oh, I can zip across. That's fun. Do it again. Ah, me and Atreus were all doo-doo. How did he get chains? He's got chains too? What? What the hell? He's got... What? When did you get chains? Uh-oh.
I think I see something. Look out!
Oh, look out. They're little fire ones. Little fire ones. Okay, okay, okay. I don't need it. The witch? There's a witch in this game? What?
So, wipe the mouth you had on the train, lad.
It's just a word. I've heard
Shit,
way
shit,
worse
shit,
from
shit,
Word
Rumble.
does not matter.
The
You
kid.
lost
Shit, shit,
control.
shit, shit,
We
shit.
were falling through the air. I thought we were gonna die.
Is that what you truly wish your last word to be?
No.
In moments of crisis,
Your last words. Shit,
panic
shit, shit,
does
shit,
nothing.
shit, 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 shit.
Harness it. Let it serve you.
It's okay, Kiki. I let you figure it out. Oh no. Isn't Freya a witch? Yeah, Freya's the like. Well, I mean, what am I supposed to do here? The MLBP Freya. Can I use this ladder? No? Okay. Where do I go? I don't know where. Oh, that bee Freya. Yeah. She was all nice and sweet in the beginning and healed their wounds and stuff, and then now, where the heck do I go? Great view, but where do we go? Want to go down there? Oh, there we go. That's why she's so nice in the first game before this. Well, I mean, we did kill her son, so.
Look on the ground. Crap. It must lead into the mine. We'll need to get past this cargo.
Oh. There's gotta be something I can do here. Hmm. You're looking at it like I should know what to do, but I don't. Too far away. You finished the first game as well? Yeah. Oh, I told you what happens just now. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. I don't get it. Am I freezing the water?
Hey, looks like you stopped the water flow in that trough. That's it. Let's head across. Looks like the water powers the crane that's keeping the cargo up.
Huh. Interesting.
Good bet there's a couple more near here. Let's find them, yeah?
That was from the previous game, yeah. And yeah. I spoiled the previous game. Wayne said he hasn't finished it. Did you finish the first game? There's one over there. How do I get over there? Nope. That's not how you get over there.
I might be able to get up there if you help me.
It's like I finished the big flying beast. That one scared the crap out of me when I was playing. My god, there's a lot more scary stuff. A lot more scary stuff.
Great. I'll head across for a better look.
Okay.
Father, there's a gate up here heading towards the entrance to the mine. If you can get up here, I'll need your help lifting it.
If.
Oh, come on. You can jump that. Your knees aren't that bad.
Atreus.
How come I can't? Oh, my dumbass.
Might you be able to
Alright.
freeze it?
I hope you can make that jump. It's another one of those wooden troughs. I wonder how the dwarves thought of stuff like this.
Aye. Might be the great motivator of convenience.
Wow.
Why do the work when you can get the wet stuff
Not
to do it
received
for
the
you?
2 knives yet? I blocked myself in. Interesting.
Sure hope Tyr's here.
Atreus, we seek information.
I know. Stop acting like I'm trying to start a war.
Yet you do not say otherwise.
Brothers, maybe we can lay
Pick it
this to
up.
rest a bit, eh?
Thanks for the lurk, Cookie. Yes. Now how do I get... Oh.
You lift on your side. I will lift on mine.
What am I lifting? Oh.
Heavier than I thought. Thanks.
He just goes,
Keep moving.
There's a chest down there.
Ah, maybe you can hit it from a different angle.
Chrysler? And also the serpent. The serpent, I loved the serpent. The serpent was really cool. Honestly. I can't get back down there, huh? I do not want to go forward. I'm stuck! I can't go back now. And I didn't even get the chest thing. I feel dumb. However, I heard about the serpent in this game is blank. I didn't even open the rest of the chest. I'm stupid. I left it. I thought I had to go forward to get to the other pieces. I guess whatever.
Yapa.
Looks like we found Durlin's mine entrance.
Oh, hi, friend.
Got something else for you.
Sindri!
What is it?
Since you're currently lacking a light source, sorry, and have no way of seeing exactly what untold horrors lurk in the dark,
You'll be
these
heading
will
to
help.
bed and you sleepy. Good night, Cherry.
Okay, back to your exploring now.
Sleep
Off
well.
with you.
Thanks, Sindri. Hey, wait, what do you mean by untold horrors?
So now I have a light source. Nighty night, Cherry.
Go!
Oh no.
It's pulling you to the wall! We gotta knock you down!
Oh shit, that tiny little lizard just slapped me in the face. That was good.
Close.
Okay, so I think now that I have this little light source, what does it do for me? Okay, I gotta get everything. I'm not gonna leave unless I explore. Full of beans. There we go. I don't think that light source thing helps with the this right here.
You may need some special equipment to use this.
I realize.
Yapa! Whoa, are you seeing this? That huge crane's moving this way.
Whoa. Now what?
Stay there.
Yes, sir! Meet you on the other side!
Kiki, have you played any horror games at all? I have played like little bits and pieces of some, but like not really.
Lemire, what is the likelihood Tyr is imprisoned in this mine?
Durlin might have been as well oiled as this crane, but I don't believe he'd lead us astray.
Not really.
You think the lad's too trusting?
He is eager to prove himself. Clouds his judgment.
Oh, I know you have more faith in him than that, brother.
Why is it going back? Oh, I called my blade back, I forgot.
What became of Kvasir?
Ripped apart by his audience. Well, one member of his audience. Well, Thor.
Yay. Play some? Oh gosh, I'm so bad with horror games.
Find anything?
We keep moving.
I want to go back to that area. I hope I'll be able to go back to that area later. But I guess I have no choice but to go forward. Whoa, it's so bright in there. What are all those?
I think this is it. This is the mine.
Whoa. Whoa. This little head talked too much. Silence him with tape, right?
Intriguing. However, we're ill-equipped to do anything with it right now.
Ah, so I will be coming back here regardless.
Well, looks like the official entrance to the mine is blocked.
This way.
Nice. Not a dead end. Come on, let's see where this goes. Ugh, these guys again?
Left flank!
So many little guys.
Where are they all coming from?
Let me make sure I didn't miss anything because I just kind of jumped right down in there. Nope, I didn't. Okay. Here we go.
It certainly smells like we're headed into a mine.
I think I can hear the water too.
Slow down, Atreus. Take care. Be ready.
Oh
So,
man.
I think I found where those righteous were coming from.
They will overwhelm you quickly. Stay close.
Right side, brother! Right side, brother! Behind you, brother! On your right! Behind you! Incoming!
Alright.
He's dead.
Get rid of the
That'll
little
take care of the
babies.
rest of these things.
Look at it. They're stuck. Look at how cute that one is. It's so angry. So angry. Why it's so angry? So angry.
The smell these things leave behind is so gross.
Small consequence for disturbing their home.
Let's keep moving.
Disturbing their home. Yep. Oh look, more life. That's what I need. Oh, and
Maybe we can ride this boat thing further into the mine. Worth a shot.
there's a boat. Ooh. Ah, peaceful boat ride.
I'm sorry. I know you said
It's a
not to,
small
but I can't
world
stop thinking about this.
after
We
all.
spend all of our
It's a
time fighting bad
small
stuff.
world
And I don't get why we can't do that alongside Tyr.
We do not know him.
We saw his shrines. He's a leader. He stood up to Odin when no one else would. If he's done it before, why wouldn't he do it again?
Images from long ago do not tell a whole story.
Oh, we're going down. Yeah. Oh.
There's a door. Once we get off this, let's check there for Tyr. He's gotta be close. I can't help but feel like you're angry with me or something. Ever since we got to Svartalfheim, you've been critical of my every move. If you don't think I can lead us, just say so.
It is not your competence that is in question.
Okay? But what does that mean?
Consider your intent.
All right.
This place is
We
huge.
made it inside.
Must have taken ages to build.
Very pretty.
Another door.
I think at this
We'll have
point
to
I'm
check
gonna
that one
go
too.
ahead
Bird's instructions do not say which
and
one.
get
No,
myself
we're on our own here.
out of this. It's been 3 hours and
question
I'm
from
getting
before.
tired.
About my intent. I intend to help the God of War stop Odin. And that means freeing him from whatever prison he's in right now.
Brace yourselves, friends,
Sindri?
and be careful exiting that thing. 1 foot at a time. There are loose, rusty nails everywhere.
Have you seen any signs of Tyr?
As if I would navigate this maze of running sewage. No. I'm sure you'll manage that on your own.
I don't know. The water looks pretty clear here.
Keyword, looks.
Okay. Yes, I was able to
Fire's
upgrade my
actually a
blades.
disinfectant, so these are very hygienic. No need to thank me.
No need to thank me. Alrighty, I think I'm gonna manually save now, and I'm gonna go ahead and get off of here. It has been a fun stream. I thank you all for hanging out with me. Hopefully next time I get back on here, we can do some more MLBB or Fall Guys, something fun and interactive. Anyways, guys, thank you for hanging out. I appreciate you. Yeah, I'm gonna get off, Wayne. It is time. My butt hurts. Goodbye. Goodbye, Wayne. Thank you for hanging out. I appreciate you. Thank you, Awesome Sauce. Thank you, Cherry, everybody. Goodbye.